Yeah.
But this is why I think the real reason the 10 millimeter wasn't used. Brandon, what's the first thing? That's Smith & Wesson.
Smith & Wesson has not demonstrated the ability to produce a reliable, durable weapon for the FBI.
Why do you think we don't see the 10 millimeter adopted by police officers today?
Well, on the screen it says heavy recall for one woman. So I'm guessing. Go ahead.
That's what a lot of comment people say. It's
okay.
The recoil was too. Now these are comments now.
Okay.
People I never met don't know. The recoil was too strong for a woman. You think that'll stop the implementation of his 9 millimeter?
I don't think so. I think it may have been just too much for some people anyway, in general. And if you got a better option, why not just go with that option?
Brandon, let me ask you a question. I know you were just a little boy then.
Okay, go ahead.
In 1990, did you have a Me Too movement? How was the guys behaving? How was the males behaving in 1990?
Well, we didn't have the internet and people weren't as connected. So no, we didn't have a Me Too movement. You know, we relied on newspaper for information. It just, you couldn't click up online like people like to do now and voice your opinions.
Was women so vocal back then?
No, they weren't. I mean, I'm pretty sure they were, but not where you can do it and have a group and everybody get louder and louder and louder.
That's a good case. But the majority of our comments said the 10 millimeter was canceled due to the heavy recoil. Is really from one woman.
Oh, okay.
Now, in my case study,
one woman said, and that's
in my case study, I found two. Mm-hmm. So, will you think this reasonably? Just think. Will you think the whole FBI that's nationwide,
right?
2 women complain will completely stop all the firearms for being issued?
No.
And I agree with you, Brandon. But the comment people said this what stopped it. Is you had one woman said she can't qualify and they had to put it down.
Right.
Now, even though the director of the FBI said you could use your 9 millimeter or your 45, but since this one woman complained, let's just scrap the whole thing. I don't think that happened.
Well, I feel like people got some information or heard some secondhand information and just ran with it just to try to disprove you. And, you know, I think a lot of people think, well, if I just say something in the comments, the person who did the video, they're probably not going to respond. Or even if they do, now I feel like I have power and I feel like I'm justified. And, you know, I want to go back and forth with somebody about how I feel because I'm so passionate about it. Well, even if I don't know what I'm talking about.
Here at Man in the Metaverse, we ain't that famous yet, so we gonna respond.
Correct.
we gonna respond. But based on the information I have and how I see things, I do have a certification procurement for stuff. Yeah. But this is why I think the real reason the 10 millimeter wasn't used. Brandon, what's the first thing? That's Smith & Wesson.
Smith & Wesson has not demonstrated the ability to produce a reliable, durable weapon for the FBI.
So here what was going on. They got a gun, right? The officer loads the gun, right? Put the gun in his holster. You know, I just put one in the chamber, right? Mm-hmm. He pulled the gun out. The mother sucker is jammed up. One guy.
And what's gonna happen?
One guy had to take a hammer, pow, 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 to unjam it. Brandon, right. This happens.
Is that safe? Lot. Right. That's what I'm saying. If you're an officer, you pulling your firearm.
Brandon, this ain't no one off. This happened a lot. And this happened at the facility they used to test this 10 millimeter.
Right.
Agents was coming in there with this gun and they shoot it and they jammed up.
this is my thing. I trust Smith and Wesson, but why was this gun jamming though? Whoa,
Smith and Wesson didn't design it right. That's why it was jamming. So Smith and Wesson goofed up. So this gun, they procured roughly 9,000. Well, they signed the contract for roughly 9,000.
Mm-hmm.
When they started distributing a lot of these guns out, you had a lot of complaints saying this gun was jamming. I mean, weird jams. Up to Brad, I said you put one in the hole, did the gun locked up? Now the gun locked up.
But I'm just trying to make sure it wasn't the 10 millimeter. It was more on Smith and Wesson just not making a good gun.
It was more, in my opinion, it was more on Smith and Wesson, not a good gun. But guess what, Brandon?
What?
Who had the contract?
Mm-hmm.
This is a brand new caliber we try to implement on a mass scale.
Right.
And the government go off the cheapest, all the time, Brandon. I hate to tell you. The government go from the cheapest manufacturer.
Oh, okay,
and it's usually a sole source manufacturing. Sole source means it's one person who's making the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, Smith & Wesson, give us this thing. Let's do it. So every gun they shipped in, that thing was jamming up on you. So that led to the downfall. Also, the size and the weight. The size of it, some of the ladies, like I said, had a problem holding it because it was a huge gun.
Mm-hmm.
And the weight of the gun, if you have to carry this pistol for a long time with those big old rounds, you're gonna need suspenders to carry to lift the pants up. You don't need no belt, you gotta have suspenders.
Right. And let's not just exclude the men, because some men have small hands, some men are small in stature too. So it's just, if it's not working, it's just not working. And it's not just one issue, it's a lot of issues.
Now you could go back in history. Most soldiers did not want to carry heavy guns,
right?
And so it's kind of a trend. Heavy ounces in the military, where they used to say ounces equals pain.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got to walk 20 miles a day, right, you want the lightest stuff you can have on you because it won't translate into pain.
Right. And not only that, if you running after a criminal with a heavy gun on your waist, bumping against your hips and stuff like that, you want a better option if it's out there. So
correct.
Just because you signed a contract with a gun and a caliber bullet don't mean you have to stick with it if a lot of people are complaining about it. Because the one thing you don't want to do is pull out a gun and it's you in a situation and it jammed. Now what you gonna do?
No, it's
or just you shoot
it
one
lock up. No, it lock up, Brandon. I can have it locks up. Watch this, that 45 I got a $2 magazine, used by magazine for $2. If I use that $2 magazine, the gun will lock up, Brandon. In it, you can't do nothing to it. You have to beat the dang thing out. $2 magazine, lock the whole gun up. Shoot, one time did it lock up.
That's funny.
But see, people, now, do you want to leave the reproduce theory that two women out of thousands of people stop this gun for being implemented? Or do you want to believe this gun lock it up on everybody?
Right.
Stop.
Which one sounds more reasonable, or just which one makes more sense? Because that just doesn't make any sense. Two women complained, so they stopped it. When have they ever did that in the world?
Or to anybody complain.
Right.
But when you have a huge amount of people pulling the gun out, the thing is locked up. That's what you get. And I wanted to make one thing too, Brandon, about this. Hold on. I want one thing about this. Now, you see this test, how they test. This is for the people who hate 9mm. This test is wrong, Brandon. Because I'm going to put this test in reality.
Okay.
Brandon, if you put a brick in one of your hands and you put a small rock in another hand, if you throw the brick at 5 miles per hour and you throw the rock at 5 miles per hour, which one gonna hurt the most?
The brick.
That's what they did with this test.
Right.
They made it biased.
Right.
They slowed that 9mm down so much, and when it hit, it didn't do nothing.
Right.
And you put the 9mm a rock against some bricks going the same speed going at your head. So who's gonna win?
Correct. But you know what that made me think about? You might not remember this, but we was in high school one day and we was talking about some physics stuff. I don't even know how we got on that subject, but I think we were saying, I think somebody, I can't remember who said it, but somebody was saying if you take a tennis ball and you hit it with a racket, you might be able to hit it as far as you can hit a baseball with a baseball bat. Do you remember that? Do you remember that conversation?
If you take a tennis
ball and a tennis racket and try to hit it as hard as you can almost hit it as far as you can hit a baseball with a baseball bat.
No,
that's what I say. Yeah, no, and that's one of the times I really thought about like physics and how things work. But I guess you think you may be able to do it, but no. When you have that bat and you have the ball, hitting it when it's coming at the bat, hitting it, you can drive it further than just trying to hit a tennis racket and a tennis ball. Well, hit the tennis ball with the racket. But I think somebody was trying to make the argument that you can still because I guess it was easier to hit the tennis ball than it was hitting the baseball.
Now, this is random. I believe you could swing a baseball bat faster than you could swing a tennis racket.
Correct.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, correct.
I believe you could throw a baseball faster than you could throw a tennis ball. Will you believe that?
Further. You're talking about throw it further.
Faster.
You can throw it faster. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
I ain't never seen no tennis ball go 100-something miles per hour. You ain't gonna never
You're not gonna see it. But if you put it in a pitching machine, do you think it's not gonna go as fast as the baseball is, just because of the weight? But that's just part of physics. You can almost get it. It's not as close as you can get the baseball, but that's just part of physics and how gravity works and how weighted objects are when you throw them. Like if you throw a brick, if you throw a little small rock, it's gonna be different.
Watch this. Can you squeeze a tennis ball, Brandon?
And you do what now?
Take a tennis ball. Can you squeeze it?
Yeah, you can squeeze
it. And it flex?
Yeah, because it's got air in it.
Take a tennis racket. We hit the
strings.
Can it flex?
Yeah.
That takes away some of the speed and impact too, because it's going to absorb some of it.
Yeah, correct.
Will you squeeze a baseball? Does it flex?
No.
How about a baseball bat?
No.
So that force going to be directly applied to the other side.
And it's going to be right.
So,
gotcha.
Brandon, why you bring up something like that?
Because that's what made me think about it. I thought you was about to do a physics question, a real one.
So, the 10mm was a failure and not used on a mass scale. Why put that in history? So, do we want to watch this video again? I use the word develop. Develop means everything I just said in this presentation in one word, developed. And I think people don't want to know what that word is, Brandon.